My project examines Eurasian decolonization and globalization by tracing India's response to a variety of international conflicts between the years 1935 and 1939, and I'll get into them in a little bit. My project began with a simple question: why? I'm out, yeah. Why was Jawaharlal Nehru, leader of the Indian independence movement and the first Prime Minister of India, in Spain during the Spanish Civil War? My grandparents were actually refugees from the Spanish Civil War. They fled in 1937. And before she died, my grandmother told me that she remembered a famous Indian coming to Barcelona to support the Second Spanish Republic. If I'm being honest, I did not believe her. She liked to tell a lot of tall tales. But the more I investigated, the more I discovered that Indian anti-colonialists were participating in anti-fascist and anti-imperialist movements, not just in Spain, but across the world. And so what my dissertation explores begins in 1935, is this sort of fundamental transformation in the Indian National Congress, which is the primary body of independence in India. And it transforms from a domestic nationalist movement into a global anti-imperialist movement. Okay, good. And in doing so, Congress leaders hope to achieve 5 things. First, they wanted to create international awareness of their efforts to try and break away from the British Empire, basically go abroad and sort of rally support. There'll be action here in a minute, just be patient. There's nothing happening there. Right, yeah. Second, they wanted to defy British foreign policy. This was the era of appeasement in British foreign relations. For a variety of reasons, which I can't get into, Britain pursued non-intervention in various conflicts, and so by Indians intervening, contributing money, medical supplies, even ammunition, they sort of defied British foreign policy. Third, Indians wanted to demonstrate their readiness and capacity for independence. They wanted to show Britain and indeed the world that they could create and abide by a consistent foreign policy. Fourth, they wanted to position India as a leader of global anti-imperialism. By the late 1930s, most Indians had a sort of sense that independence was on the horizon, and they wanted to position independent India as a leader of this sort of post-colonial Asia. And then fifth, they wanted to equate British rule in India with fascisms in Italy and Germany. Most within the Indian National Congress considered British imperialism and fascisms in Germany and Italy indistinguishable. They argued that they were both inherently predatory, racist, and exploitative, and they wanted the rest of the world to know. So they're out there agitating. So to achieve these 5 goals, the Indian National Congress sent ambassadors, money, medical missions, representatives. They held food drives. They organized protests across the world. And it's at this point that I feel like Dr. Frankenstein and that I started this project focusing only on Spain, but I have since expanded it into the monster you will soon see before you. So first, Indians participated in the 1935 Italian invasion of Ethiopia. Under Benito Mussolini, Italy invaded Abyssinia, which is present-day Ethiopia. And Mussolini's sort of militarism convinced many of these Indians that a Second World War was on the horizon, and thus encouraged them to take greater interest in international affairs. The following year, and then the year after that, they also participated in the Spanish Civil War and the Japanese invasion of China. After the British declared an official policy of non-intervention in both conflicts, the Indian National Congress officially supported both the Second Spanish Republic and China, and intervened as flagrantly as possible. They sent ambassadors, material aid, medical missions, even everything but the kitchen sink, essentially. They then protested the 1938 Munich Agreement. I couldn't get Germany on there, so I just went with Czechoslovakia. This, of course, convinced many Indians that Britain and Germany, so Nazi Germany and Britain, were allies. On the surface, they met together and robbed Czechoslovakia, or at least the Sudetenland portion of it, of self-determination. And this hit home for many Indians because they felt they were victim to similar British manipulations. And then finally, the Second World War, which I don't think doesn't need any explanation, just massive worldwide conflict. And so with this Dean's Grant, I'm going to spend the summer researching all of this in archives in India, England, Spain, and the United States, and I couldn't be more excited. So thank you.
Is India's ability to sort of adopt its own foreign policy, even though it's in this, in a sense, subaltern status as colony. Is that because the rule of the Raj was always fairly light? I mean, that the British presence in India was never extraordinarily huge?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think it speaks to the sort of leniency of the British, but at the same time, a lot of these people were being imprisoned in various stages. So, they'd go on hunger strikes, they'd end up in prison, they'd lose weight. So I think it's a little bit of both. If it was German colonialism, maybe maybe this project probably isn't happening, but I think the fact that it's because the British and, they're a little bit more hesitant to use physical force. Although that doesn't mean they didn't, they definitely did. That is a factor, yeah. Any more? Okay, good, thank you.